What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to share with you 3 recent returns that I got back in the mail, but 2 of these are kind of unique. One of them I actually sent back in 2019, and I just got it back in 2024. So after 5 years of being out in the mail, I got this return. So what that probably tells me is either this got lost probably in somebody's house, they moved their desk and then found my request, but I was very happy to get it back. Now the second one, I'm super excited to share with you because it's been a card that I've been trying to get signed for a long time, and I finally bit the bullet and I wound up sending it to the individual and just getting it finished off, and it's another one of those triple cards. So we'll talk about that when we get to it, but first we're going to start with former Milwaukee Brave / New York Met John DeMerit. And I sent 3 cards to Mr. DeMerit, and he signed all 3 of them. So let me tell you about John DeMerit in his time in baseball. John DeMerit, a Wisconsin native, grew up in Wisconsin where he attended high school, but he also went on to play college baseball at the University of Wisconsin. Nicknamed the Thumper, John got that nickname because of how he hit the ball and the ball went off of his bat. His time at the University of Wisconsin, he was a strong player on their team. He was so successful in college that he didn't have to move far down the road because the Milwaukee Braves, who are still in Milwaukee, now the Atlanta Braves, offered him a $100,000 signing bonus to sign with them in 1957. This was a lot of money for a young player back in that era. Under the bonus rule at that time, the Braves were required to keep DeMerit on the big league roster for all of the 1957 season. So, DeMerit was playing in college baseball, and just a few weeks later, after he signed his pro contract, he was on the Milwaukee Braves on their major league roster. After signing his contract with the Braves, DeMerit finished up his university exams, bought a house for his father, who was the athletic director at his high school, and with some of his Badger teammates sitting in the stands, he came in on June 18th, 1957 to make his major league debut. He was a defensive replacement for Andy Pafko in the outfield. 2 nights later, he would make a pinch hit for reliever Dave Jolly, and DeMerit singled to center off the glove of Stu Miller. Miller, who had been giving the Braves problems all season, DeMerit stepped up to the plate and got his first hit, and DeMerit said that the players almost fell off the bench because this young guy came in there and got a hit off a guy that none of the major league guys could get a hit off of. DeMerit would play the outfield for 33 games to round out the end of the season that year. With the team, he would just post a 147 batting average and not hit a home run that season. Well, the rules about signing bonuses changed the following year in 1958, and the Braves were able to send DeMerit back down to the minor leagues at 22 years old and put him in their Double-A affiliate. Well, in 136 games, Thumper hit 13 home runs and posted a 257 batting average, which got him a call back to the major leagues, where he appeared in 3 games in 1958. Still without that big league home run, the Braves decided to send him back down to the minor leagues for the 1959 season, and he would spend the bulk of that season hitting 14 home runs in their minor league affiliates, but would get a shot with the Braves, appearing in 11 games in 1959, but he just hit 200 with getting 1 hit that entire time in 5 at-bats. 1960 would be more of the same. He would be in Triple-A for the Braves, appearing in 126 games for them. He'd post a 270 batting average and would hit 12 home runs. And the following year in 1961, he would make the Braves squad. However, he would just appear in just 32 games, but he would collect his first home run in those 32 games in 1961. So there's Thumper. He's got his first major league home run now. Well, the Braves decided not to protect John in the upcoming expansion draft, and the New York Mets selected him in the expansion draft in 1962. Well, after spending just 14 games with the Mets wanted to send him back down to the minor leagues. John decided that he did not want to go back to the minor leagues for another season at 26 and wanted to go back home to Wisconsin, which is what he did. He spent some time working in the insurance business in Wisconsin. However, in the late 1960s, he had finished his degree while he was playing in the off season. He decided to go work for the Parks and Rec department for a small city in Wisconsin. And John basically worked through the 1990s working for this Parks and Rec department until his retirement in the small city in Wisconsin. So after John's career, he went to work in municipal parks basically, and had a long career in parks. And overall in his career, John just appeared in 93 games over those 5 years. His lifetime batting average was just 174 with 3 home runs, but he was a well-known player, especially in the college ranks while playing for Wisconsin. And I want to thank John for signing my cards and returning those to me. These 1962s look great, as well as that TCMA card. All right, so I kind of touched on this one already, but this is a return from the St. Louis area. That's the postmark on it. It is a return from former Kansas City A, Nelson Mathews, on 4 of 4. And he signed him down here in the corner and across his face on this one. But I actually sent Mr. Mathews this request in 2019. So I don't know what happened. Maybe these got misplaced. Maybe he forgot that he got the mail. I don't know. But I'm very happy that they found their way back to me in 2024. So let me tell you about Nelson Mathews and his career in baseball. Nelson Mathews grew up in Columbia, Illinois, which is just right across the river from South St. Louis. And he was signed by the Chicago Cubs out of high school. At just 17 years old, the outfielder played for the Cubs Class D affiliate, appearing in 91 games, posting a .291 batting average and hitting 10 home runs. The following year, in 1960, at just 18 years old, he would appear in just 13 games that year for the Cubs in their minor league affiliate. And despite this, at the age of 18, he would get called up to the majors, where he would make his major league debut on September 9th, 1960, to finish out the year. Well, in his one at-bat, he got a hit. So one of those guys that got a hit at his first at-bat in the majors, and he was able to appear in 3 games that year and wound up with 2 hits to finish out that 1960 season. Pretty exciting for an 18-year-old kid. Well, the following year in 1961, the Cubs sent him back down to the minor leagues at 19. He appeared in 138 games for their AA affiliate and posted just a .220 batting average for them and 5 home runs. 1961, he would appear in 3 games in their major league affiliate. In 1962, he would appear in 121 games for the Cubs minor league affiliates, appearing in just 15 at the major leagues for the Cubs. At 21 years old, in 1963, he would make the Cubs roster, being kind of a split player, appearing in 61 games as a backup outfielder. However, his batting average just slipped to just .155 for that entire year. Well, after that 63 season, the Cubs decided to trade him to the Kansas City A's. Well, with the A's, he made the squad in 1964, and they made him their full-time outfielder at just 22 years old. He appeared in 157 games that year. However, his batting average dipped down to .239 for the A's, and he led the league in strikeouts that year as a hitter. The following year, in 1965, he would appear in just 67 games for the Kansas City A's, and he would split time between the 65 season and their AAA affiliate and their Major League club. After the 65 season concluded, he would start out the year in 1966 with the Kansas City A's. However, he would be then let go, where he would sign with the Detroit Tigers to finish out the year. After the end of the 66 season, he would sign with the Philadelphia Phillies. He would play in just 21 games with them that year in 1967, and that would be the end of his baseball playing career. After his playing career, I'm not really sure what he decided to do, but I do know he did move back to the St. Louis area. And his son, he is the father of TJ Mathews, who was actually a pitcher for the Cardinals organization for a few seasons back in the 1990s. So very, very happy to get Mr. Mathews back. He has actually been at a couple card shows that I've seen in the past. However, my cards were sent in the mail, and I just assumed I was never going to see them again. You know, either Mr. Mathews decided to keep them, or they got lost in transit, or whatever it was. So I'm very, very happy to at least get these back, and we will move to the next and final return that I'm very excited to share with you guys. All right, so the biggest reason that I'm excited to share this with you is you guys know how I love collecting my dual autograph cards. And the first one that I got to sign this card, you probably remember this from a previous video, but I recently picked these up at a card show this past year, and I decided that I was going to write Sonny Siebert and Sam McDowell and ask them to sign. Well, I decided to start with Sonny Siebert because I always told myself, one day I might see Mr. Siebert in person. He still lives in the St. Louis area to this day. I get back there quite frequently, and I thought, well, if I see him in person, I'll get him to sign. And it just never was working out. So finally, I decided that it was time to send this card to Mr. Siebert through the mail. And I risked it because typically whenever I have something that's signed by multiple people that I can't replace, I usually don't send it. Well, as many of you may or may not be aware, Gary Peters passed away in 2023, and Joel Horland passed away in 2022. So I had both of these signed in my collection for many, many years, way before I even had this channel, and I was sitting on this card waiting and waiting to see Mr. Siebert. Finally, I just bit the bullet. I sent Mr. Siebert some money through the mail. Mr. Siebert does require a small fee to sign his cards, so I included, that fee for these 3 cards, and I am happy to report that this card is completely signed by all 3 players in its entirety, and it only took me 20 plus years to get it finished. So I'm not saying that Horland and Peters didn't sign over the last 20 years. It's just I never got it signed recently. As a matter of fact, I want to say Horland was the first to sign it and Peters second. And I just never got around to getting it signed. But now I did. So very excited to share this with you. Now I'm going to talk about Sonny Siebert and his career in baseball. And hopefully you'll be seeing this one back soon with Sam McDowell's autograph as well. And I'll be profiling him. Sonny Siebert, actually named Wilford Charles Siebert, but he goes by Sonny, was born in the St. Louis area, kind of in the same neighborhood as Nelson Mathews, actually. Nelson was across the river, but Sonny grew up in St. Louis, and he actually was a standout athlete in not just baseball, but basketball as well. As a matter of fact, Sonny went to the University of Missouri in Columbia, and he played on the basketball team more than he did the baseball team, which is very ironic. Sonny was not just a standout on the basketball court, but he was also a standout on the baseball diamond as well. He was part of the College World Series team that played in the championship game that eventually lost the University of Southern California in 1958. He was actually drafted by the St. Louis Hawks to play basketball. He actually decided to sign and play baseball instead with the Cleveland Indians. However, they chose to use him primarily as an outfielder. Well, from 1958 to 1959, he was used primarily as an outfielder, and it was his coach at the time, Spud Chandler, that convinced him, hey, maybe you should try pitching. So Siebert converted to a pitcher in the minor leagues that year, and he posted an 8-7 record in 30 games for them in 1960. The following year in 1961, he would post a 6-9 record in 33 games. In 1962, he would really have a coming out party where he would post a 15-8 win-loss record and a 2.91 ERA in 29 games in one of Cleveland's minor league affiliates. 1963, however, was a little rocky for him as he posted just a 4-10 record in 36 games, primarily pitching out of the bullpen in 1963 in their AAA affiliate. 1964 rolled around, and he actually did make the club, making his major league debut on April 26, 1964, but after pitching in 1 1/3 innings, giving up 2 earned runs, he would be out of the game in his major league debut. Sonny would pitch in 41 games that year for the Cleveland Indians, and at 28 years old in 1965, he would become a primary starter with a few bullpen spots in 39 games, but he would post a 16-8 record in 1965 for the Cleveland Indians. Well, the following year in 1966, at this point, he posted the 16-8 record. He would follow it up in 1966 with a 16-8 record, the exact same record, and he would make his first All-Star team in 1966. Also that year in 1966, Sonny would pitch a no-hitter against the Washington Senators. He finished the year in 1967 with a 3rd in the league in ERA, which is that card right there. And he wouldn't match his win totals in 1967, as he would just win 10 games that year for the Indians. 1968 would roll around, and he would win 12 games that year, following up in 1969 with a 14-11 record. The majority of his, well, actually all of his wins would actually come with the Boston Red Sox in 1969, because he was traded on April 19th to the Boston Red Sox of that year for Juan Pizarro, actually, among others. And he would finish out the year with Boston, posting a 14-11 record. The following year, he would become a part of the Boston Red Sox starting staff, and he would post a record of 15-8 that year in 1970. In 1971, he would make his second All-Star team, posting a 16-10 record that year and a 2.91 ERA. He would also in 1972 be in the Red Sox rotation. However, he would split the season, posting a 12-12 record that year. In 1973, he would start the year with Boston. However, he would be traded to the Texas Rangers, where he would finish out the year, posting a 7-11 record with the Rangers in 1973. After that 73 season concluded, he would be traded to his hometown St. Louis Cardinals, where he would then pitch for the Cardinals for 1 season, posting an 8-8 record. After that 74 season, the Cardinals would then send the 38-year-old Siebert to the San Diego Padres. In 1975, he would start 6 games for the Padres before they would trade him to the Oakland A's, and he would finish out the year with the Oakland A's, posting a 4-4 record with the A's and a 3-2 record with the Padres. So at the end of that 75 season, Sonny was 38 years old. And after a 12-year major league career, Sonny retired from baseball and moved back to the St. Louis area. I'm not really sure if Sonny did anything after his playing career. However, now you can understand why I thought I might see him in person somewhere. But Sonny is now, as of me shooting this video, 87 years old. So I decided that it would probably be easier just to mail the cards to him and ask him to sign them than holding out for the hope that I might run into him in an alumni game at Missouri or something like that. So very happy, like I said, to add that tri-card to the collection, finally complete, 20 years in the making. Very happy to get Nelson Mathews to sign my cards as well. I also want to thank Mr. John DeMerit for signing his cards for me as well. These are some nice additions to the 1960s era collection that I've been collecting. Hopefully you'll be seeing that soon by Sam McDowell as well. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch, and as always, happy collecting.